Does that make sense or speak to what you're talking about, Tim?
Well, I mean, okay, I mean, anytime anyone deploys a critical awareness properly, you have to say yes.
Sure.
But I think, yeah, I can't. Aside from that, I lost it. I'm sorry, I don't know how to reply.
I can say that I just read that critical theory of role-playing games, and the author Daniel McKay spent some time talking about whether the idea that you have levels and the idea that you have rules means that the role-playing game is complicit with structures of power.
Right.
And I'm like, that is so alien to my concerns, and yet because you're writing this as a PhD thesis, you need to reassure your professors that you're not, as you say, participating in a totalitarianism.
Right. So, I mean, so at least you could corroborate that when I say that I'm not actually exaggerating, that this is really part of the intellectual superstructure that we're dealing with.
No, that's what's valued most, is that criticality, more than anything else in contemporary art, right? That's number.
And so to be an enthusiast is suspect?
Right. Absolutely.
A little bit aside from this, but I think why there's an interest in this is we're kind of in this era of an accepted, extended adolescence. We get married a lot later now. We get jobs later. We don't have to settle down. There's this thing about taking a year off and exploring, traveling, and just a lot of leisure. Leisure is so important, and there's like no rush to grow up. You know, I had my first job when I was 13. I was doing garden work, and I teach high school now, and none of those kids have jobs. I don't know. I think there's this extended thing, and we, of course, are doing it, so we have to say it's okay. But I think I just got married and I had a kid, but I still am playing these stupid video games, and I'm still obsessed with them, and I'm still reading bad fantasy fiction, and I'm just interested in why am I not growing up? And that's what it is for me, has been.
I don't know, I don't think it's exactly chalked up to this, like, well, if that's the case, then where's the other markers of an extended adolescence showing up in visual culture? I mean, there's D&D, but, like, can you think of anything else that, like, you know, goes to corroborate, like, the sense that the reason that D&D is popping up in contemporary art is because, like, we're just, like, refusing to grow up, or, like, instantly trying to co-opt it, or...
Fashion. Fashion's not growing up. Fashion's in an arrested adolescence. 45-year-olds wearing the same clothes as 15-year-olds.
45-year-olds on skateboards.
Yeah, there you go.
Retro 8-bit
video culture, Scott Pilgrim, and everything wrong with that.
Say that again?
Retro 8-bit video culture, Scott Pilgrim, and everything wrong with that. Yeah.
I feel slightly offended because I don't see playing role-playing games as part of an extended adolescence. Yeah. Because I play role-playing games like a man. And here's the thing, I wish I said that to be funny. I am deadly serious when I say that. With the way I play games then and the way I play games now, you know, it's a fantastic difference. Yeah.
Let's get to, I feel we went top that, so let's get some questions from the audience. Jason.
I wanted to ask about, just whoever has an opinion about this, the relationship between, you know, quote-unquote fantasy artists and quote-unquote, you know, fine artists, or however you want to put it. And, because I think that, like, the relationship between maybe sci-fi authors and, you know, literary authors, and how finally there's this moment where they're being called speculative fiction now, and there's this crossover and it's getting taken seriously. Where do you see is it a legitimate separation between those types of art, and where do you see it changing?
I think the only division is economic. It's like one is sold like on a per page rate to publications for reproduction on the web, and for all that economics to get involved, that the other economics is within gallery system. And both has, you're blinking at me. They just have grown up with different economic modes, and of course there's a different culture, there's a different information, there's a different type of mentality that goes with each. So I think the only real like primary physical thing you can define it as, one exists here in the books, in the comics, on here, and one exists in the galleries here. And everything else is up for argument and for debate that shifts over time about like, well, no, fine art happens when we have like, you know, like intentionality and things, but that shifts so hard, and I can't see real super truisms between the two. The definition between, like, you know, between making a good illustrator and a good artist, like, I'll name it like straight, it's like, no, this is illustration art. You know, that's something better. I'll make the division like that. But I think the only thing communicating with people to each other, it's like, well, he makes his money as an illustrator doing work for other people, or they make their money like in a gallery, or they make their living. I should not say money, they make their living, their life from doing a certain style.
So what happens when you put like Frank Frazetta in a gallery?
It's
It's
art.
over there.
Yeah. Chris, you were talking in the emails, you were saying that you chose not to be an illustrator because you wouldn't get to draw what you wanted to.
It's true.
Yeah.
And Ryan, you were talking about even how these pieces, having to work with the material that was given to you by your participation in the game, sort of narrowed the scope of what you could do. So is there a difference in the aims of being, of saying that I want to do those things that come to me from my own experience, from my own vision, and being, I want to do those things that are given to me by a text or given to me by working in a different form?
I think so. I would say friends of mine who are illustrators, I think we're different kind of fundamentally because they're like successful super fans. And they're able to kind of latch on to what they're working with and get into the mind of someone who really wants to consume it on a kind of, not a high art or, you know, like gallery experience kind of level, but just a really casual, enjoyable level. And I think I'm a fan, but I'm too critical or introspective. Yeah, I just think about things and like to play a little bit more than I like to make things definite. And so in my work, I just kind of enjoy playing visually. And to go and make work that's about something or that's directly related to a fiction or something that's kind of spelled out in words somewhere is a leap from that abstract playing to description of something where I feel committed to tell the truth about it or something like that.
I might approach this from another side and say that I think, I mean, just with regard to the sort of freedom or license that fine artists have, I think that a number of artists perceive that freedom as kind of terrible, in the sense that it's a significant drain on their psychological and emotional health. You know, like have to sit in a space and they can do anything they want, right? And I actually think that may account for the appeal of gaming-like structures of self-imposed limitations or rules or emulation of games in other ways. Because, I mean, I think about something I heard Gary Pander say about Guston, where he said, you know, painting is a game in which you make your own rules, and it's very easy to feel like you're always losing. And I think when you can sort of adopt a superstructure or emulate, you know, gaming rules or limitations within your own work, that there's a relief in that. You know, there's a relief in not having to deal with the terrible burden of ultimate freedom, right, within your practice. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I can.
All right, we are out of time, so I want to thank Casey, Sean, Ryan, Chris, and Tim, and all of you for coming.